Welcome to Verde's Folding Chair, a bi-weekly podcast about making space at the table for Black, women, and independent writers. Verde's Folding Chair is about making space for our voices, existence, and lived experiences. Zora Neale Hurston said, "If you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it." This podcast is the opposite of being silent. Come on and bring your folding chairs and pull up at the table. I promise to make space for you rainbow peeps and friends. I love Black women. My next segment is dedicated to Black women. Black women are a reflection of God. Black women are beautiful. Black women are talented. Black women are determined. Black women are powerful and dangerous. Black women deserve better. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. Malcolm X. Which brings me to the Black woman I'm going to speak about today. Brittany Y. Griner. I'm just going to mention a few BG stats for you, just in case you've been hiding under a rock or you're just not into basketball. Who are you people? Brittany Griner was a star in high school. She was a star in college, and she is a superstar in the WNBA. All right? This information comes directly from the WNBA's website. Brittany Griner is a member of the 2014 WNBA champion Phoenix Mercury. She's a member of Team USA 2016 gold medal team during the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. She's a two-time gold medalist with Team USA at FIBA Women's Basketball World Championships 2018-2014. She was named the MVP of the gold medal game in 2018 and named to All-Star 5 in 2014. She's a two-time WNBA Defensive Player of the Year, 2015-2014. She became the first player in Mercury franchise history to win the award in 2014 and was the first player to win it back-to-back years since Tamika Catchings in 2009 and 2010. She's one of 5 players in the WNBA history to win the award back-to-back. All right. She's a 6-time WNBA All-Star. 6. Yet here we are sitting at day 113 that Brittany Griner has been wrongfully detained in Russia in prison. Brittany Griner has been detained in Russia since February 17th. That is 113 days. According to the news reports that I've read, the WNBA, its players, and those closest to Griner, they were, quote, advised not to discuss her detainment publicly in efforts to not draw media attention to Griner and make her a high-profile person. In other words, keep it on the low and maybe Putin won't realize the asset that he has. Newsflash. Brittany Griner has been playing in Russia for years, without any problems, by the way. She is one of the world's most famous basketball players, and she plays in the WNBA. Brittany Griner is only among a few basketball players who've won an Olympic gold medal, an NCAA championship, a FIBA World Cup gold medal, and a WNBA championship. Brittany Griner is a badass. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about Putin's knowledge of this as well. He knows who he has wrongfully detained. Okay? A WNBA superstar, and she is being used as a political pawn. The real question is, does America know? How have we shown how valuable Griner is to us? I have some questions. Would it have been possible to follow the advice to stay quiet if Griner were someone else? Say a superstar NBA basketball player who the media had been following since high school, who lived up to the hype in the professional arena for years, amassing stats of only the elite players, yet found himself detained in an oppressive country, a country the U.S. is in strong tensions with. Would media outlets have listened to such advice? Or would this have been breaking news and viral content throughout the social media world? Would his change.org petition still be begging to reach 300,000 signatures? I'm just asking the questions. Also, as of April 29th, 2022, the U.S. has classified Griner's detainment as wrongful. What's been our excuse since that time? We all must do better. Because if we see ourselves any different from Brittany Griner, especially Black women, we are sorely mistaken. We are Brittany Griner, and we need to do more to make sure she is returned back to the United States swiftly and safely. Angela Rye appeared on ESPN's First Take with Stephen A. Smith to discuss BG's wrongful detainment in Russia. One of the things she shared was that we have to do better. We can't continue to use that. The United States asked us to be silent. They advised us to be silent as a quote fallback, an excuse. And we've just got to do better. And she went on to talk about that, um, unlike what some people argue, that bringing up superstar NBA players and saying, what if they were in this situation? That is, in fact, creating a gender divide. No. What she said was that it's not creating a gender divide. It is used to demonstrate that there is a gender divide. BG would not have been playing in Russia for more than 7 years had it not been for the gender pay divide that exists between the NBA and the WNBA. BG is playing in a country that is socially oppressive, politically oppressive, racist, and anti LGBTQ. This is where she had to go to get paid and treated like the superstar basketball athlete she is. Think about that. And this has been true for women basketball players for years. Why are other countries able to pay and treat women basketball players better than they are paid and treated in America? When I share that Malcolm X quote about Black women being the least respected, protected, and the most neglected person in America, I feel it deep in my spirit. It's a part of my lived experiences as a Black woman in America. When I'm in the room with other Black women, they've shared similar experiences and feelings. We see it play out all the time right in front of us. Yet people still try to pretend like it ain't true. Look at Sandra Bland. She shouldn't have been talking back. Korean Gaines. She should have just let the police arrest her. Now we have Brittany Griner. She should have known better than to have that on her. Even though we don't know a damn thing about Brittany Griner's case, because Russia hasn't presented any evidence or told us anything, it's Brittany Griner's fault, right? She doesn't deserve our protection, right? I'll share with you just a few of the many, many comments by people who take the time to leave their opinions on posts related to bringing Brittany Griner home safely. Hold on for a second. Let me pull that up. You do the crime, you do the time. Respect the laws in other countries. She made a terrible decision to which she's facing the consequences. Terrible thing happened. But let's not make this something that's not. She's an example of fuck around and find out. Lesson learned, I hope. The men's NBA players are always being held hostage in supporting the WNBA. Just like these t shirts. I guarantee they were forced. Unlike everyone here, I've actually spent time in in a Russian prison. It's not that bad. Free vodka and HBO Plus in your cell. It's a lot cheaper than renting a house or getting a hotel. You even get out on the weekends and just have to come back Monday morning by 8 a.m. Let's free a criminal that committed a crime. She lived there for years. She knew the laws and she broke them. Case closed. You do the crime, you do the time. Respect the laws in other countries. We have to do better. The slow response that Brittany Griner has received, and in some cases, the lack of response that Brittany Griner has received, is directly related to her race, her gender, and her sexuality. Brittany Griner is black. She is a woman and she is queer. Where is the outrage and attention from the sports world? I know Griner's teammates and colleagues have been vocal about her wrongful detainment. Yet when I go to the WNBA's website, Griner's face isn't one of the first that I see. Why not? Painting her name on WNBA floors, I don't think it's enough. I know that every day more and more athletes are starting to join in with their voices, sharing on their platforms, and being a resource in the fight to bring BG home. It's about damn time. The number of WNBA superstars doing so needs to increase exponentially. I also know that Representative Greg Stanton of Arizona and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and Colin Alred of Texas are calling for her immediate release. Um, and I know that they have presented legislation on this. Also, Trevor Reed, a U.S. Marine recently released from Russia, in an interview, he calls for the U.S. to act quickly on working to get her release. He stated that there is no justice in Russia, he said. Brittany will not receive justice in Russia. They're not going to receive a fair trial. They will not receive a fair investigation. They will be there as hostages until the United States gets them out. And then he went on to discuss the discrimination Black and LGBTQ plus people deal with in Russia. All right. So Joe Biden needs to meet with Sherelle Griner, Brittany Griner's wife, to discuss bringing Brittany Griner home. I was talking to my best friend about this the other day, and she said she didn't know what she could do to help. And I know many of us feel this way. One of the things we can do is go to wearebg.org. It provides a list of steps we can take to support efforts to bring BG home swiftly and safely. Here are some ways we can advocate for Griner's freedom. 1. Sign and share the official petition on change.org. Call the White House at area code 202 456 1111. That's area code 202 456 1111. You can visit wearebg.org to find out more. The website, like I said again, provides a list of actionable steps we can take um, to advocate for Griner's freedom. wearebg.org. This segment of the show is called Readings and Ruminations, my ever-growing TBR list, and what I'm reading. I'm currently reading The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle. I learned about Nipsey Hussle a little bit before he was murdered. I was watching this news segment where he was being interviewed about all the great work he was doing in his community, from refurbishing a basketball court, opening a clothing store in his neighborhood, opening a barber shop and a technology center for people in the community to have access to. Turns out he was an amazing rapper whose lyrics I could get behind, whose message resonated with me, and he reminded me so much of Tupac, with what he was trying to accomplish as far as giving back to the community and uniting his community. I definitely recommend The Marathon Don't Stop. It's written by Rob Kenner, who is a well-known and well-respected writer in the hip-hop community. Some things I learned from reading The Marathon Don't Stop. One of the things I learned is the state of California is named for Calafia, a Black warrior queen made famous in a 16th century Spanish novel. I also learned about the history behind gangs and how they began out of a need and a motivation to protect Black people and the Black community from racist white people who were out to do harm to Black people just for existing. I also learned about LA's notorious racist policing system, like their anti gang unit and the narcotics division. All of this, along with getting to know Hustle's family and upbringing, sets the backdrop and the foundation to learning and appreciating who Nipsey Hussle was, where his entrepreneurial spirit derived, and the man he ultimately became. Any book with historical context and facts will always have my attention. I have a strong appreciation for the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Asking questions and looking for the answers reveals the truth. I'm almost done with The Marathon Don't Stop. It is 100% motivating. It's powerful, and it's an enlightening book on Ermias Ashkadam, known to the world as Nipsey Hussle. It is certainly worth your time. Read it this summer. If not, certainly add it to your TBR list. All right. In terms of my TBR list, it goes a little something like this. I've got Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant's Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made, and then I have Celebrating Hotchclaw, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, the black and white of it, as well as Say Jesus and Come to Me. I love that title. All of those last three books are all written by Anne Allen Shockley. I'll be doing a segment on Anne Allen Shockley in the future, so stand by for that because she's amazing. Then I have a list of all white authors for my last and final class I have to take at UC Berkeley Extension before I earn my post-baccalaureate certificate in writing. Yes, I said all white authors. Someone put together a class called Great American Fiction and developed a list of great American authors who are all white because, well, great American fiction is white, right? Of course, I have written to the director of the program about it, along with the lack of diversity I've experienced throughout the entire program. In response, I received a lot of "we're doing" and "we're trying" and "we're changing." But, I guess change comes slowly. Oh, and get this. They changed the name of the course to American Fiction. So they took the grade away. Okay. Because I was like, it should be called white. I think I said it should be called Great American White Fiction. All right. But anyway, so they changed the name of the course, but didn't change the reading list. Talk about tone deaf. So American fiction is, well, right. So there you have it. Yay for me for getting to read more white writers. I just haven't had enough of that. On this segment of the show on becoming a writer, a woman, a better human being, I read former First Lady, our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and it left a lasting impression on me. Ever since then, I actively recognize and respect my journey to becoming. I also realize it's a lifelong journey. When I think about being on a journey to becoming, that it isn't a particular destination I'm trying to reach. At times, it brings me a sense of stability and contentment. It's acknowledging that I am a constant work in progress, but it's mine to own. One of the messages that really stuck with me in her book is she says, one of the things she learned is that public judgment sweeps in to fill empty voids. Quote, if you don't get out there and define yourself, you'll quickly and inaccurately be defined by others. This is on page 285 of the hardcover book. It's similar to the Audre Lorde quote, right, where she says, if I didn't define myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. It's the same theme in the stories I write. It's a part of the motivation for this podcast to make space for myself in this world, to talk about things that matter to me, to be more vocal in my Black woman queerness in this world, to define myself. My experiences do not have to rest in the margins. So today I want to talk about my journey on becoming a writer. If you're a writer or an artist, maybe you can relate to this. Writing is hard as fuck. It's my happy place, don't get me wrong, but I struggle to write. I struggle to sit my ass down in the chair and write the story. One of the things I'm struggling with lately is knowing that once I'm done writing the story, well, that's just the beginning. There are going to be several rewrites of this story. Okay? You're going to get with your editor and it's going to be on. And there's no getting around that, my friend. It's beautiful, painful, exhausting. It is just a part of the process. So I'm just working on being present with my work as a writer. Can any of my writers and artists out there relate to this part of the journey to becoming? Rainbow's Corner. In this segment of the show, I read my works. I discuss themes, characters, plots, etc. from my books, from my stories that I wrote, or just from some of my works in progress. Today, I'm going to share a poem I wrote a while ago. It's called Who Can Find Her? A draft of words. Patience is a virtue, and I will prepare like the virtuous woman. Proverbs 3 and one dream led to another, and I was addicted. I felt your spirit, and she compelled me. And there I was, disregarding the elements. In summer, I wiped the sweat from my brow as the last leaf drifted. And there I was, frozen again in winter. But in spring, the bird's melody slowly danced me back into virtues of you. Black, local, independent. You can be one, two, or even all three, but you can't be none. So in this segment of the show, I shout out and I show some love to a Black, local, and or independent artist or business. Today on the show, I want to show some love to Lene. She is the creator of the Podcast Launch Kit, a workbook for new podcasters who are ready to start, launch, and grow their podcast. She also hosts her own podcast called The Gold Standard, which is available wherever you listen to your podcast. So check that out. So I purchased this launch kit like 2 years ago during the pandemic. I really wanted to start my own podcast and I had no idea where to begin. I thought having a podcast would be a really great way to get myself out there as a new independent published author. But I was reluctant, out of fear and procrastination. And then the heavy dark cloud of COVID came, which inspired and motivated some and drained the shit out of others. But ever since I've gotten serious about getting my podcast out into the world, this kit has been the number one tool for me. I also purchased the content planner for podcasters, and both of these tools have provided such a structured path for me from beginning to end. I wouldn't be where I am right now if it weren't for these kits. The best part, though, it didn't break the bank. And for independent artists, this is vital. So shout out to Lene for her product, the Podcast Launch Kit and the Content Planner for podcasters. If you're looking for a show to add to your podcasting list, hers is called the Gold Standard. And if you're looking to start your own podcast and don't know where to begin, check this sister out. You can find her on Instagram at goldstandard_. All right, be sure to check her out. Today's positive thought: until Black women are free, none of us will be free. Barbara Smith. Meditate on that, then do something. Thanks for joining me this week on Verde's Folding Chair. You can also find me on IG at the_writer_Verde_Arzu, Twitter at Verde_Arzu, and or Facebook at the writer Verde Arzu. You can also find a copy of my book, Rainbow, a Black queer novella, and other rainbow merch on my website, www.verdearzu.com. And remember, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Thanks for listening. Peace, love, and rainbow.